Ben has been sacked 10 times. The Steelers fall to 1-3. But Big Ben isn't going to give up just yet. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I need to be better. I need to fight through and figure out how to make better decisions, how to make better throws, how to, be a better football player. And that's why I just said I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm not giving up on this season. No one in this building is. It's still early, and there's still a lot of fight left in us.
Well, in a way, what else is he going to say? But at the same time, Adam, this is a guy who's been fighting through some injuries again this year. What's the latest you're hearing on Big Ben?
Well, he has to figure out how to get better and make better decisions, but he's not going to get faster. He's not going to get more elusive in the pocket, and that's part of the issue. He didn't practice yesterday due to hip and pec injuries. He's gotten beaten up this year behind a remade offensive line, in part because the offensive line is coming together, in part because he's just not very mobile back there. That's the point he's at in his career. And so now we wait to see if he can get through the week of practice and get ready to play on Sunday against the Denver Broncos, while there are continued questions about this Steelers offense and the future of Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback position. They're never going to bench Ben Roethlisberger. It's never going to get to that. So he has to figure out a way to play better, make better decisions, and elevate this team to where it played in the first week of the season at Buffalo when it beat the Bills. That's what this team can do. Now the question is, can they get back there?
Okay, and I find it interesting that you say that they might never bench Big Ben. That makes it interesting. But, Louis, I got to say, there's so many people out there who are writing off the Steelers. Are we speaking too soon? Is it too soon to start writing off Pittsburgh?
You know what? Look, here's my problem. I don't know if I want to say you can write them off at this point in time, but this is the question that I have every time I watch them. And it's just going back in time and thinking about teams that are in the position that they're in. How do you improve an offense right now where, especially on the offensive line, where you're not going to just go out in the street and sign some all-pro offensive guard or offensive tackle. And I understand that a lot of times it's about cohesion, it's about chemistry, and it's about working together along the offensive line. But you know what else it is? It's about whether or not you're talented enough. And these guys just can't capture the line of scrimmage in the way that, when they talked about this team during the preseason, that they had every intent on doing. It came from ownership. We want to be a run-first type of team. Or I shouldn't say a run-first type of team. We want to be a team that plays with physicality and sends people a message in the running game. Najee Harris can't even get to the line of scrimmage without getting his head caved in. He's a guy who's averaging less than 3.5 yards per carry and has really become their primary receiving weapon out of the backfield. And that is just that is just totally backwards from what they had intended before the season began. And everything trickles downhill from there. Ben has no shot behind this offensive line. He has no shot behind the run-pass imbalance that they have and the lack of efficiency that they have. And I just don't see how you can improve that. So I guess in that vein, yeah, I guess it is time to maybe start thinking that this is a team that's not going to make the postseason.
Man, not even make the postseason. So is there a solution in Pittsburgh?
I mean, it's a solution. Listen, in this league, you're once a man, twice a baby, right? You come in this league and you lean on the running game and defense, and then you become a man and you're able to carry a team and you're able to get rid of some veterans because you can be a force multiplier. And then you're a baby again, right? We saw it with John Elway. We saw it with Peyton Manning. And what you have to do is identify what you can and can't do. And what you can't do right now is drop back and pass the ball 30 to 40 times with Ben Roethlisberger. So what do? You ugly the game up. You win boring. And how do you win boring? You take some of those great Ferraris that you got on the outside and you park them, right? You put one out there, you start going with two tight ends, and you force teams to match up with you and see how many great linebackers they have, and you go with doubles and you pound the rock and you take shots off of play action. That's the only solution you have to lean towards that defense and win the ball game ugly. Ugly it up. Become the Spurs. 4 corners, just like Princeton. That's how you have to do. That's the only shot they got.
Just doesn't feel like that's the kind of shot that can get them into the playoffs. Adam, I'll give you the final word.
Well, listen, I think the big question right now is whether Ben Roethlisberger can play Sunday. Everybody's watching that. But you've got an immobile quarterback behind a patchwork offensive line, and that doesn't create a great and ideal combination right now. And I think they really miss Marquise Pouncey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a team that is banged up in so many ways. Ben banged up. And like you say, Louis, with that line, I don't know what they're going to do. But we'll see how it plays out, and we'll see if Big Ben plays on Sunday. Now, let's get to this story about Urban Meyer. Man, has it been a week for him. He spent the early part of this week apologizing to his players and staff after a video went viral showing a woman dancing near the coach's lap at his restaurant and bar in Ohio. And yesterday, he explained why he chose to stay in Ohio after the team lost to the Bengals and not travel back with the team.
I thought at the time, now that I maybe thought it through, but I thought at the time this is a chance for everybody to clear their head, including myself, with my family located, where we were, to go spend a day or two with them and then get back, because I knew I wanted them to get out of Dodge too and clear their heads.
Clearing his head. Let's bring in Lewis, D. Wood, Bart, and let's add Jeff Darlington to the mix. Jeff, this is a tough one. What is the latest that's going on in that locker room?
That is a tough one. Thanks for bringing me in hot here. Like I can't get any kind of like cold entry. This is
just jump right in,
the fire here.
Jump in.
Look, here's the deal. Speaking with somebody in Jacksonville, they did point out that while obviously this is a topic of conversation within those walls, that there doesn't feel to be a sense of chaos was one of the words used, or unrest was another word used. But one thing that we should point out here when it comes to Urban Meyer is that the problem that he has is that even if you don't lose the whole locker room, even if you don't lose the whole building, you start to lose little factions here and there. Don't forget, when he signed Tim Tebow several months ago, to some, not a big deal. But there was definite dissension within the ranks of assistant coaches that didn't agree with that. This is obviously something very different. If you lose a few players here because you decided not to come home from Ohio or any other storyline attached to this situation, there's a few more that are now no longer on your bandwagon. That, to me, based on my conversations, is the biggest challenge that Urban Meyer now faces. You've got to gain the trust of more people in that building. And while his job is currently secure, the more you lose in terms of the people in that building, the more your job becomes in jeopardy.
Yeah, you got to regain the trust, but at the same time, you're regaining the trust, Bart, at a time where your credibility is low, and not only that, the team's not winning. So what's your reaction to his explanation of why he didn't travel back with the team?
That's the most idiotic explanation I've ever heard in my life. Now, I played in the league 11 years, and I've been around, different head coaches. No coach has ever lost and gave a victory Monday, talking about clear your head. The first thing that you have to do, this is how it operates, right? When you fly back, I don't care how far you're flying back, D. Wood understands this. The next day, you have to tell guys to get in the training room, get your treatment done. Then you give them the next day off. But you have to go back and you have to go over the corrections. So you have to go over the corrections to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes that we made before. What's the objective here? It's about winning. It ain't about clearing nobody's mind. You clear your mind and you flush that game and you move on to the next game after you address the mistakes that happened during the game, what allowed us to lose the game. And you always fly back with the team, right? You fly back with the team. He can take a private jet back to see his family the next day. So now I'm looking at you sideways. And he had one thing to do. He had one job. Don't embarrass the organization. Right? He came in strength coach, Tim Tebow, practice violations, vaccination statement, now lap game. Like, listen, just don't embarrass the organization, and he's doing a horrible job at it. So how you gonna hold me accountable as a player when you're not doing the same thing? You've embarrassed us. Listen, we talk about the NFLPA saying don't sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was supposed to go there to change the narrative that they had a professional coach, a professional outfit. He's failing at his job miserably.
Yeah, and the don't sign, just to make it clear, the don't sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars thing was before him because of some violations, but now, as you mentioned, and the fact that it's already a gate, you're calling it lap gate, I tell you, D. Wood, this is not a good situation, but I got to say, if you're a veteran in that locker room, especially given what Bart just said, and you're looking at Coach Meyer, how do you handle this? How do you look at this at this point?
Well, listen, first of all, just to kind of piggyback off something Bart said,